You know, I really hate doing this. This is a nice, beautiful car. And a lot of Cubans out there could probably use this car for their ingenuity. We got a brand, you know, we got a running, driving motor. We got a beautiful radiator. It's like brand new. We got headlights and wiring. And what else we got here, guy?
Everything.
It's a complete car.
Run and drive.
But we're not in Cuba. We're in America. And you know, this goes on to all my Cuban brothers out there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I got to cut the car up to make a piece of furniture out of it. It's ridiculous, Norm. It's a ridiculous situation.
4 brand new tires.
It's got 4 brand new tires. I mean, what Cuban can't use those? What Cuban can't use the motor, the American motor? What size is this motor, Norm?
That's a 413.
It's a 413 running strong engine transmission. And I mean, what Cuban guy can't use the motor out of this?
It just makes me sicker to the stomach every time I think about the situation, what's going on over in Cuba with all the classical cars. Someone over there can use this motor. Somebody over there can take this engine and it would be like a pile of gold to them. It would be like a bank full of money to them. But we're not in Cuba, we're in America. So what we're doing is cutting the front end off of the car so we can make a desk out of it. Yeah, it's a situation that says, hey, I'm sorry, Cuba. I'm sorry. Really, really sorry. Is my friend Pete went out and bought a beautiful car, gorgeous car that it is, early 60s, late 50s era car, because I love old cars. I'm a old car guy from hell, and when it comes to these big finned 50s, early 60s cars, that's the best fucking thing on earth. So here's a classic car right here. This car right here is a 1956 Chrysler Imperial. Now, what makes this car popular? What makes this four-door ugly piece of shit a desirable car that says, you know what, I'd love to have that car? Well, let me tell you something about the 1956 Chrysler Imperial that you, the viewer, probably doesn't know. In 1956, that was the first year of the Chrysler 300. The Chrysler 300A, to be exact, because in 1957 it was the Chrysler 300B, and on and on and on as the years went. So what they did is they took a Chrysler Imperial just like this, and they changed the grille on it, they changed some emblems, they changed a little bit of chrome, this, that, and the other, and then they had their Chrysler 300, and the 300 was born. This car also had the big block Hemi engine, which was a big giant engine at the time with the big giant Hemi heads, which made the car a desirable car of today. So I would say this here car would be called a classic car due to the fact that it was the baby child of the Chrysler 300. But my friend Pete doesn't own this car for that reason, because this is an old rotted out piece of shit four-door car that you would never be able to restore. So what I do own it for is the front end, complete that is, and of course the gorgeous, beautiful, luxurious rear end that you're looking at right here, with the very unique and stylish taillights that are mounted on top of the fenders. This was basically the start of the big fin car. They started out with these little fins right here, and then as the years progressed all the way up to the early 60s, the fins got taller and taller and taller. I think there was a war between the three big manufacturers of who can actually make the biggest fins. So this car right here is a desirable car to many, but to me, my friend Pete, it's called car furniture. That's right. I love old classic rear ends, front ends, and I like to make car furniture out of it. So maybe one day in the near future, or possibly late future from now, this will be sitting in somebody's house, game room, man cave, bar, restaurant, or such of places that could be known to man, and be sitting in there with my signature on it of a custom couch that says, wow, 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 look at that. So as we look at the 1956 Chrysler, once again, this is a Chrysler product, Dodge and also Plymouth, and at the time of this car being made would have been of DeSoto, would have all been of the same manufacturer. You can see that the body design is round. It's got a contour of the roundness of the era that it was built. And in 1957, the body style started to change. This happens to be a 57 DeSoto Fire Sweep. Very, very rare. You'll probably never see one of these in person. It's got the 6 tail lights. It's a very unique rear end in itself, because DeSoto was a privately owned company, and then Chrysler bought them out, and then after that, blah, bang, boom, they did away with the DeSoto in the early 60s. But as we come over here, this is a 1960 Chrysler Imperial. This is a Chrysler Imperial right here. You can see how big the fins are and the tail lights, the unique style of venture. You can see the difference between what we just saw and this. You can see that the body styles really changed a lot. But I wanted to go ahead and show you this rear end. This is a 1957 Dodge. This Dodge here is a beautiful rear end. It shows the uniqueness of the double fin action going on it, the 4 tail lights. I actually have another one sitting here. This is a Crown Royale, where this would be the Dodge, what is that, Coronet. They're basically the same cars, but one has a little bit more chrome than the other and a little bit more distinctness toward the two, but they're both basically the same cars. And then as we look at this rear end right here, this is basically an old rat rod couch that sometimes we come out here when we're having barbecues and enjoying the Texas weather. We might sit around and lounge around and sit in our rat rod couch and enjoy the nice cool breeze of what's going on that day. But this is a 55 Buick. This is a 55 Buick Century. I believe it was a Century, or maybe it was possibly a Special, whatever it was. You can see that it has the roundness versus the 57, which has the sharp edge corners. So that basically brings us to the subject of today. And today's subject happens to be, once again, a Chrysler Imperial. The design and the features of the cars of way back when, post-war, baby boomer situations has led us into such a dramatic design era that that the designers of the cars were going obliviously crazy, coming up with all these new designs to make their car better than the other car. And the car that we are talking about today is once again a Chrysler Imperial. Remember, we looked at the 56, now we're going to look at a 53, and I'm going to show you the difference. And before we look at that car, I'd like to correct myself. 63. Did I say 53? I think I did. Anyway, yeah, we're going to be looking from a 56 to a 63 Chrysler Imperial. If I didn't say 53, that's what was on my mind for some fucking reason. Yeah, I love old cars. And this right here, what we are looking at is a 1963 Chrysler Imperial 4-door. Now, I want you to pay attention, and it's very easy and not hard to pay attention, but look at the deco art design of the headlights. Look how the headlights are literally outside of the fenders, and the fenders are built around the headlights themselves. This is a unique feature of this automobile, and I believe that they only did this for 3 years, but this is a very, very rare front end. This is a very rare front end. I got all the chrome, I got all the grills, I got everything, put this back together to the original standard state of what it should be. And I have actually made furniture out of these front ends. These cars are very hard to find, and they're very, very rare. So when my friend Pete saw this sitting on the side of the road for sale, I just couldn't pass it up. And more than likely, we will be making a desk out of the front end of this. Beautiful desk that it'll be. It'll be an awesome desk. If I don't make a desk out of it, I'm gonna make a glass top table out of the front end with a stereo system in it, remote of course. And it will be a beautiful piece of automobilia, you might say, that will be frozen in time forever. This is why I do this. This is why I do this, because I love old cars. I love old cars. I like to look at the old car. The cars that when I was born era, the baby boomer era of these automobiles brings me back to my childhood when I look at them, and I just love to look at them and enjoy the atmosphere of what it used to be like back in the day. And then one more thing that we'll be removing from the vehicle for a keeper item is the complete dash. The dashes back in the day were very unique and very stylish. Like I said, the manufacturers were trying to outbeat one another and trying to say, look at my car, it's better. But look at the deco art situation we got here by looking at this dash and how cool it would be just to put it on a stand and completely restore the dash and just walk by it and say, I can't fucking believe it. That's actually a 1963 Chrysler Imperial / LeBaron. So the real situation is when you find these old junker cars that are way too gone and they can't be restored. They can't be restored. And they literally, to be honest with you, should be shipped to Cuba. That's where they should be shipped to, so all of the old classic cars out there would have parts. But since Cuba is embargoed and we don't have nothing to do with Cuba until the day that they say we do, it's gonna stay right here. And the real situation is I'm cutting it up. I'm cutting it up. It's an unrestorable car that would cost thousands and thousands of dollars and wouldn't even be worth the value of the car to restore it. So when I buy these cars and chop them up, it's for the good of humanity, you might say. Because once again, I'm freezing time in a space where it will always be nurtured, you might say, or beautified. I'm sure you out there in La La Land got the word in your head of what we're trying to do here. And I gotta go. I gotta go. I got a lot of work to do here. And hopefully you'll understand the situation that we have. I believe that cutting the car up and making furniture out of it is a lot better than selling the parts on eBay and scrapping it out at a scrap iron yard for a couple $100. If we were over in Cuba, we
wouldn't be using the cutting torch like we are, or would we? I mean, look what I got here. I got a broken line. Now this is Cuban engineering here, bud. All right, let's think this over. I got a broken line here. Are you watching this, guys? Okay, and instead of going and getting that fixed, look what I found. I found another line that I could use. So we got actually 3 hoses hooked up to a 2-hose operation. So what I'm doing, I'm cutting the front frame horn sections off on this. I'm gonna have to go ahead and cut the torsion bars. We're gonna have to go ahead and cut the suspension up. I mean, it's a shame that we gotta do this, Norm. It's a real shame. If only Cuba was like our neighbor, okay? Our sister country. Then we could go ahead and donate this big old dog to them. I mean, look what it's got over here. It's got the electric seat. The seat's beautiful, Norm. It's a beautiful seat. All right? I guarantee you there's a Cuban out there that wishes he had this electric seat right here, dude. What are you thinking?
I think so.
Well, man, look at the dash in this thing, dude. It's like back in time, 1953, 63 freaking car. It's a beautiful dash. A dash that says, hey, I belong in Cuba, but I can't go there because my friend Pete's gonna make a piece of art out of it, of me. There's gauges, switches, electronical stuff. There's a steering wheel in it that says, oh my God, Cuba is the name of that steering wheel right there. You know, it's a real shame. It's a real crying shame. But we're not in Cuba right now. We're in America. Look at this mirror. Look at the mirror, Norm. It only needs a piece of ingenuity, piece of stainless steel to make a mirror. I mean, if we were in Cuba, how would we make a mirror out of that without glass?
And we find another mirror.
Maybe what we could do, you know what we could do? We can get an aluminum can, okay, a big aluminum can, polish it up real good, and glue it in there, and it'd be a mirror. You'd be able to see the reflection of lights and cars behind you. You know, that's what we're talking about here, dude. So yeah, you know, that's the real deal right there. Remote control mirror. What Cuban wouldn't give their left eyeball for that job? You know, if they got rid of their eyeball, they wouldn't be able to see out of it. So, yeah, that would work real well. All right, so I got all the fenders unbolted. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and cut the frame down here. Norm can get the boom. Can you see that down there, Norm? Hello, you're the camera guy up there.
Get it.
All right. What we're going to do is we're going to go like this. I'm going to cut that frame in half. I need the frame section for the front bumper. Did I tell you how beautiful the bumper was?
You did, Pete.
It's a gorgeous bumper. It should be in Cuba. But it's not.
You're
I
on
mean,
a Cuban kick.
I wish I was a billionaire and I'd go ahead and cut all these parts up and ship them over there on a secret boat to Cuba and just drop them off on the shore. I wish I could. You know, I really do. Now, get a good look at that cutting torch. Look what we got here, okay? This line was busted, so we, you know, compromised. Found another one. Let's go ahead and get this bitch done and down the road, dude. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to cut it right down in here. Can Norm see that? Norm.
I think I see it.
I'm going to cut it right in front of the suspension here. We've got to turn the heat up. It's not hot enough. There we go. And this is going to take some ingenuity in itself.
Not the Cuban way.
Right there where your piece of shit was. Oh, ouch! Fucking thing. All right, we got the 1963
classic, I might say, vintage deco art front end off the car, ready to make a beautiful desk for somebody out there. And it's going to be a beautiful desk, but it's actually in reality a very sad story, because there's so many Cubans over there and so many classic cars in Cuba that can actually use these parts that we can't even send them. I'm sorry, but it's just a sad situation.